welcome. I'm just gonna go off here. Well, again, Chimoge again here. Thank you to my returning viewers. Welcome to the new people. Again, we just need to get better at talking, especially about things that we talk about a lot. Let me move my phone back. You see, with this segment, The Greatest Men Alive, again, I'll give two things to the new people. First, my government name is Chimoge Chijioke Ibe. Kabu Nam Nogoha. Welcome to all my ancestors. Welcome to my entire lineage. So you can look up my government name. Last name is spelled I-B-E. Know more about me. And second, astrologically, I'm a Scorpio descendant. Okay, I have that in my chart. Scorpio descendant. Okay, in my descendant position, it's Scorpio. Okay, there are other terms I prefer to use for it, but it is what it is. Although Scorpio descendant means the head of the greatest man alive. Anyway, look that up. You'll know stuff about me. Anyway, my ancestors really want to put their foot in this. You see, let me just get right to it. You see, Christianity is a tired topic. I'm only 28 years old. I just want to signify on that. I shouldn't have to say my exact age, although it should be known. We need technology and practices. Again, I don't hide my age, but I'm an African. Okay, in Africa, we are not obsessed with the birthday. Okay, and I'll leave it at that. And I'm really going to leave it at that. You see, my ancestors are holding me back from something. But anyway, messed up my flow a bit there. Anyway, aforementioned age, okay? Born January 2nd, 1998. Again, that's the date. Look it up. You see, I'm not that old, but I really am not that young. And this is what I mean by that. You see, I wasn't born yesterday, contrary to what my evil elders might tell you. And I'll move. Registered viewer, thank you very much. Every view is a blessing. You see, because I wasn't born yesterday, it's relevant for me to say certain things. If I've been seeing something since I was a toddler at least, and I could assume since I was an infant, it's been around a while, especially in terms of discourse. You see, about every 10 years, discourse in the public should make significant advancement. Christianity discourse has stalled. All I ever hear is people basically say Christianity is a stupid cult, and then they say various things instead of just destroying it. One thing we often do is we just attack people for being Christian. And again, sometimes that's necessary, but there's a level. You've gone past the level when you start mixing in other methodologies to attack people. Let's look at the phrase religious psychosis. Again, I'm just going to be very direct here. We need to stop saying things like that. I put it in the title just to get your attention. But you're really overdoing it there. That person has religious psychosis. Religious psychosis. Let me let you in on a secret here. Technically speaking, no term is meaningless. It's just that certain terms register as a virus. Something of nonsense. The deer, the watcher. And yes, I'll say it, Kabunam Nogaha, the savage. Anyway, many ways to translate that, but it is what it is. Thank you for the comment. Every comment is a blessing. I read comments at my discretion. You see, apparently, the term religious psychosis really means LA. Okay? The most foul terms in the world basically refer to LA. You don't just throw that around. But people who created that, I don't think they knew that, unless they got a message from Spirit and they didn't tell us, which is not good. So what were they doing? They were just trying to be as aggressive as possible when talking about religious people. And again, this is something we need to go into. You see, no cult is good, but some cults are worse than others. Again, don't be in a cult, but this is what I'm saying. There's a trend in our society of worse cults stepping on cults that are not quite as bad. And there tends to be a racial tinge to this. Let me let you in on a secret. Christianity is not the worst cult for a reason. Now it's top 4, and I'm gonna walk. You see, it's top 4, but it's not the worst because at least you get to acknowledge that you're a person. Because if you can't acknowledge that something other than the quote-unquote physical world exists, you're not a person. Okay? Secularism does not allow you to be a person, and the point of atheism is really to stop personhood. So we have secularists and atheists, and yes, a secularist and even an atheist can also be a Christian. Cults can overlap. We have secularists and atheists stepping on Christianity to get at black people, especially the black race, okay? And again, there are blacker cults than Christianity for sure, but in front of the people, oftentimes people do something weird. They talk about the black church, which is not a thing. I mean... You see, they do that. They talk about black Christians, and then they'll say black people are in religious psychosis. You see, we just have to stop. Just say religion is bad, but then raise your gaze and say cults are bad. Because what is religion? Religion is really just a word for cults that acknowledge spirits exist, basically. And I'm just saying that to say it's really a nonsense concept. Again, if you look at it practically, in structure, what is the fundamental difference between the cult of secularism and the cult of Christianity? Like there's really not much. You're just engaging with things through the secular and even atheistic nexus. And I want to add in, the cult of agnosticism is there too, but that one, really my ancestors are begging me to talk about. I don't know. I feel like when I get rid of secularism and atheism, the cult of agnosticism is gone. Because let me be clear, if you're not sure whether or not spirits exist or whatever, you're not really in that cult, okay? Because that's just your thinking, okay? The cult of agnosticism is really what I would call Libri atheist. A halfway atheist. What does that mean? Basically, you say atheism is incorrect, but ooh, it'd be sweet if it was. No, like literally. Basically, the cult of agnosticism is atheism, except you say atheism is wrong because you say maybe God is real, and again, that's a stand-in for maybe spirits are real. Stupid. But then you say, ooh, it'd be sweet if atheism was true, so you act like an atheist. And then when you and the atheist get in the room to to do your thing, then you have the argument. You know, I know what I'm going to do with this segment now. Maybe most live streams. I'm going to have the initial salvo, then I'll share the stream, and then I'll keep going. But anyway, just to reduce the laughter, because, you know, I just want you to know I'm serious. Really, people just have to stop overdoing it. Just one, actually say new things. Because there's a lot of new things to be said about Christianity. Okay, I've said them. And I'll give you 2. 1, God is real, but he's evil. 2, God is the same as Satan. And then I'll add another one. 3, there are many good spirits that exist. So this is not me doing... Is there another cult I have to name? I think there's some... We have like secular devil worshippers. We have those weirdos I always look at. You just come out and say, I worship the devil. Anyway, like... Yeah, I've made my point. Just stop. Just stop. Don't just go label this oppressed group. They're in religious psychosis. literally, there's no value to that. Because, let's just say it like this. Every religion on earth has white people in it. Just, just say the religion is bad and keep moving. Let's go. Anyway, yeah, not all religious people have religious psychosis. Because another thing I'm getting at here is that there are different levels of belonging to the cult. So, if someone is barely in the cult, it's not appropriate to use the heaviest term to describe them, and I'll leave it at that for now. Anyway, let's share this link. What's my method? Let's just let's just be quick here. Let's do some emojis and some words. uh, Abunam Noga. Alright. New round. Kabunam Noga. Let me take off my jacket. It looks chilly again. Ooh, the ancestors want me to stay in this spot. English. This is the problem. After I've called in my ancestors, when I say the ancestors, I'm referring to my ancestors. I'm not one of those people who just prays to the ancestors. I don't wake up and say the ancestors come. Although, if you break down that term metaphysically, doesn't that just mean cool ancestors? Well, what if it's not? Just because they're cool doesn't mean they're good. Anyway, it's not good. Yeah, be specific when you call in your ancestors. Anyway. I have a lot on my mind. I have a lot on my heart. You see, talking about Christianity is important for me because Christianity is one of the things that destroyed my life. Let's go. I was forced into the cult to Christianity as a child. What does that mean? It was forced upon me. As in, I was expected to practice it. Specifically, the branch called Catholicism. Now, I discarded it mentally, and I'll just leave it at that, at about the age of 14, 15, because, I looked into the details. I was like, all right, I can't even do the gymnastics. But I didn't talk about it for two reasons. One, I don't like arguing about stupid things. Because, I'll be honest, arguing about Christianity with people in person and in private is not very important to me. That means basically I have to become the person's, and I'll just say it like this, healthcare provider. Because that is a well-being issue if you're that pressed about the cult. And I'll leave it at that. Not my interest. I'm not the guy to resolve someone's emotional issue one-on-one. At least not in a way that is not inconvenient for me. If I resolve your emotional issue one-on-one, you will explode. That is my nature. When the God of Thunder strikes, it is painful. Let me give you a bit of information. Pain himself is a saint. You can also call him Ani. That's the father of the soil. And he is part of the God of Thunder. You can call all the God of Thunder Pain. Why? Pain is very necessary. It's just there shouldn't be so much pain in this world. What is pain? Pain is any feeling that impedes your movement. You can also call it stop. In my language, boo. Most people would say GBU. Booyah. Again, I don't do the bear. It's not a good sound. Yeah, I just said it. But you know what I mean. Stop. It's telling you to stop. He's telling you to stop. That is Chuku telling you to stop. Okay. But anyway, I'm just bringing that up just to give context. I'm not the guy who enjoys awakening every one of my powers at every moment. So it's just not important to me. And then two, on a related issue, I saw so many bigger immediate problems around me. For example, in my family, there was just a lack of basic functioning. My elders, once again, I'm calling you in. Why are you fighting your older brother and then telling me to respect my elders? Why are you fighting your older brother, then telling me to respect my elders and creating a situation where I can't see my siblings? Let me move. And then I'm going to say this as well. Why did I have a situation where my family was existing on WhatsApp? Not good. Again, nothing wrong with that application. It's just, family should exist in person. All right? Anyway, so when I see all that nonsense, I'm not focused on Christianity, but at some point I have to be honest. So when I went to college, for the first few months, well, really maybe till about March, because college runs from, again, I went to college in 2016, I was 18. College runs from August to May. From August to about March, I still went to Catholic Mass. I think for the first half of that year, I went every week like they tell you to. After a while, I think, did I keep going every week? I don't remember. But at some point, I just couldn't do it. There were two things for me that made me say, all right, let's speed up the plan. Because I was thinking, all right, can I still go to Mass and then eventually I'll just tell people I don't agree with everything they say? Because that was my initial plan, at least short to medium term. But at some point, the nonsense was too much. There are two things I remember. One, priests implying that you should vote for Trump. Too much. Just too much. Two, the implicit racism in the presentation of the Mass. And this is what I mean. Why are there no deep drums when people are singing? That is racism. Let me move. And let me just say this. I know there are many churches where you can get deep drums, but that's the other end of the spectrum. All you have is the deep drum. And you can't even think. Everyone is hooting and hollering. That is also white. The black church is white. Wake up. Anyway, Anyway, what's the point I'm making here? At some point, I just said I can't even go to Mass myself. But again, I didn't really discuss it with my family. And when I was back in my parental home, I just went to Mass with them as they required and then went about my life. But this is the thing. The engagement with Christianity itself was not the only problem. The problem in my family was the inconsistency. I won't go into everything, but I'll just say this. Why are you going to Mass every Sunday and then saying to distrust people who talk about spirits? What is that nonsense? And I'll single out my biological father the most. He's the biggest culprit of that, but that was everywhere. And then you had various other variations of that nonsense that are unhealthy. So I couldn't even process spirituality in a healthy way. Anyway, as I go on, my family breaks down more, and I've talked extensively about how they've attacked me. That's a lot of what's on my heart. But I just want to say this. At every step of the way, there was at least the suggestion that Christianity was used as an excuse for bad behavior. One, I had people telling me that I deserved to suffer and or that I was wrong because I was not Christian. Not good. Two, I had people glossing over the problem using Christianity. The worst example is this elder of mine on debut named Lala Legos. That's the euphemism I use for that individual, who was one of the administrators of a group chat for relatives, people I'm related to through my mother. I'll just say it like that, okay? The group chat was for all the descendants of two of my great-grandparents. Really, my matrilineal great-grandmother and her husband. Yeah. And I'm leaving it at that. Yes. Carl Biazwa. Anyway, so that was the group chat. I posted my message for help in there when, the situation with the euphemism in my sibling group got too much to take. Okay, I literally couldn't stay in the apartment I was living in because of the nonsense that individual created. And then other things happened. I put a message in there for help. I was hoping that the family members in that group chat could give me more help. After like 10 seconds, and this was a long message, mind you, Lala Legos kicked me out. So she hadn't even read it. I messaged her privately. I said, hey, why'd you do that? Stop. Basically, you didn't even read my message. I need help. And what did they do? They sent me messages about Jesus, basically saying, don't worry, I can't put you back. Jesus is good, something, something. Just significatory nonsense. Anyway, I sent them a message back telling them about themselves, and I haven't contacted them since. But I'm going back in for justice. And I want to note one other thing. I was in a second family group chat that was for a larger section of my matrilineage specifically. And some individual named Obino, Obyno, kicked me out. I think there was a little emoji. So, for some reason, the relatives of my mother did not want to give me help and didn't even want to read my message for help. Curses be upon them. Anyway. Anyway, what am I saying here? I'm bringing back the Christianity thing. Every step of the way, Christianity's ruined my life. And then I zoom out and I see it ruining everyone else's life. So it's important that we get rid of it, but we have to get rid of it the right way. We cannot get rid of it, just checking my screen here, we cannot get rid of it with stupidity, because you don't know what else you'll create. There are already worse cults than Christianity. Again, there are only 3, and I'm looking overall. Obviously, some people in their basement have created something unspeakable, but because it's just them in their basement, you can't say for all of society it's worse, and I'll leave it at that. And I also want to say this. Cults are not necessary to survive. So even that video I took issue with that was the impetus for this live stream said some nonsense. At least the person that took center stage in it said nonsense, okay? Because I don't know the presenter's overall opinion. They were saying that we can't get rid of Christianity without giving the people something. What does that mean? We have to give them another cult. No. Rigid thought systems with loose parameters, again, outer limit stuff, are not necessary for life. People just need to not be in a cult, and that's the best way to say it, because there's no neuron or whatever in your body that the cult is occupying specifically that will just be free to do something else. The cult just has eaten you. We need to open up Jonah's whale so you can be free. But we have to do it the right way. So, going to the title of this live stream, not every Christian has religious psychosis. That's basically what I titled it, okay? We have to do things the right way by giving people personhood. And part of giving people personhood is that you get very specific in your criticism and very exact in your level of criticism. Not every individual deserves the highest level of criticism. And at some point, even criticism of foul things can be too high. The term religious psychosis is just inherently evil. 1, apparently my ancestors are telling me it refers to the father of evil. But 2, look at the origin of it in this reality of ours. And I'm saying it like that because obviously it has its deeper origins, but when something is reintroduced, that's a new origin. Someone looked through Beke and said, let me find the worst Beke possible and put it together and then unleash it on the world. That is witchcraft. You see, that is not what someone's supposed to do. Obviously, sometimes harsh language is appropriate. And when we're reforming language and we're looking at bad things, we might find new harsh terms that are necessary to be used. But I want to say 2 things about that. 1, we shouldn't reform language by combing Beke. Don't just look through English and say, this is what I like, and then create something new. And definitely don't look at the portions of Greek and Latin that forms the worst of English. That is inherently racist. That is inherently nonsense. That is inherent elagu. That is inherent evil. That is everything. Don't do that. That is a virus you're unleashing upon the earth. Don't do that. Look through all of language when you want to reform it. If the base of a big tree has been cut, it must be fixed from the center of the earth. Do not look at the shards of wood on the ground and patch them back together. Let me move. So that's point one. Point two, again, in reforming language, do not only do it to attack people. What is the intent of creating a phrase again like religious psychosis? You just want to be a supervillain from a movie. And yes, that term supervillain means Kamala, sacred, but you know what I mean. You don't want to, you just want to be, or you shouldn't want to, but you do, you just want to be the most evil person in the movie that's attacking everyone. That is not what you're supposed to do. Have good intentions when you're reforming language, and have good intentions when you're criticizing. Any harshness that is necessary will come through when you strike with truth. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I'll be over on Korea doing an anger segment. See you guys soon.